What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn to Ours Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, we had a solid week at Memorial. I mean, all the big names were there. It's a tough event to miss. Some unknown guy, Scotty Scheffler, won this week. I know you've never heard of him, but
What is this
any
last
insight?
8 weeks? 4 wins, 2 runner-ups, an eighth place finish under arrest. Yeah,
Well, and a child,
and a child,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a
yeah,
child.
yeah. So he's going to bring the next chart, a Tiger 2.0 or 3.0, because it's going to be Tiger and then Charlie and then Scotty's kid.
Charlie Woods, man. Uh, Tiger, I'll defend to the death. Charlie,
He's got to win a couple majors, then we'll start talking.
he can't
So,
even win tournaments in. Sorry, that was animated. He can't even win tournaments in Florida.
he's 15. All right, we'll give him a break. He's
So
15.
is the guy that that qualified for RBC. So
I
is the
know.
guy at last year that played Barracuda.
I know. We'll give him a couple years. He might be a little bit late and slow to the game, but we'll get him there. No worries. Jack, what'd you think of the week overall? Considering Scotty had to make a knee knocking 4.5 footer on 18 to not send it to a playoff against the surprising but delightful improved Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome week. I always say that competitive golf on Sunday is the defining moment of a tournament. If you're new to the podcast, I think that's one of the things that's really keeping golf alive. Although Scotty Scheffler is just miles ahead of everybody else. Having an event that's within 1, 2, or even 3 shots at some points coming into Sunday always makes it eventful. I don't know if anybody watched the European Tour. Sebastian Soderberg, one of the guys I picked at the last major, had an 8-shot lead going into Sunday and lost.
Oh, no.
Think about
I
that.
knew you were going to mention that one. Yep.
I had to mention it, but it was awesome. I mean, anytime you have a top 5 that's Scotty, Colin, Fitz, Aubert, I know Straka,
Bez.
Adwin, and Bez are in there, but that's an amazing leaderboard. And if you didn't cry or get emotional or tear up when Jack was talking about making Barbara the honorary for next year's Memorial, man, I'm not an emotional person, but stuff like that made me well up. Like, I couldn't speak. That was crazy. So I hope everybody got to watch that. And if you didn't, watch the end of this podcast, watch it, and then go check it out, because that'll make you well up. It was so cool.
There you go. I think you hit on a lot of the highlights. The top 10 in the leaderboard was just absolutely loaded, which is going to happen when you have these basically mini majors in terms of elevated events. So it makes sense, but it wasn't like the worst names that made it to these majors were all at the top of the leaderboard. It was a lot of big names, which I think made it very exciting because it was all
Xander
people
was up there.
Yep. Yeah. Xander was T8, which was great. And again, I think it just made it a lot easier for more casual golf fans to watch. Anything stand out in terms of disappointments, or do you kind of want to get right into DraftKings lineups? How do you want to do it?
The reality of it is we have a major this week. I could give less of a rat's behind about what just happened at the Memorial, although it's one of my favorite tournaments. It's really disappointing in how the layout of this had, because it's a beautiful event at Jack's place. I think it gets overshadowed when it comes right back to a major. I mean, there were guys like Ricky Fowler, dead last place. Kurt Kudiyama, Taylor Moore finally missed a cut. Felt like it wasn't going to happen. Cantlay was down there. Spieth was down there. Not a lot of guys missed the cut, but it was weird because it was like +4 was missed cut. And then, I don't know, it was just weird, but it was awesome.
Yeah, only 52 guys made it. Cantlay, with his crazy course history here, did miss the cut, which just reiterates to me that Cantlay is a shell of his former self, in my opinion. I understand that's probably a bold take to some people, but again, this is arguably some of the worst golf of his career. So he is joining my do not bet list.
You know what? You did call it a mini major. He's always sucked at majors, so maybe that's why. You're just gonna bet him at like Corrales, and he's gonna dominate.
Yeah, exactly. I'll wait until the Mexico Open next year, and he's gonna win by 12 strokes. So, all right. With that, let's get into the recap of last week. How did your DraftKings lineup do last week?
Well, DraftKings started off with Xander, Colin, and Aubert. So right away with 3 guys in the top 10. I had Jackson Koivan, who I told everybody that he's the Stoneman Price, and you need to get ahead of the game and bet him. And he made the cut. last guy in the field that made the cut, but still got me 4 rounds. So that was awesome. We took home money. So you're welcome.
There you go. Mine was a little more boring. I had Xander T8, Ludwig T5, Noren T22-ish. Billy Horschel was a nice surprise, T15. And then Harris English, and then Taylor Moore missed the cut. But, we still cashed out in DraftKings, so it could have been much worse. FanDuel, how'd you do?
And I also forgot to mention Lee Hodges, who I think finished 40th or 45th in DraftKings. In FanDuel, Scotty, winner. Xander finished top 10. I had Noren, who did fine. Jackson was up there too. My only really disappointment was Lucas Glover, who just, I don't know what happened because I figured that would be a good course for him. Other than that, great week.
Yeah, Lucas Glover's always got some of those weird weeks where you anticipate he's going to do well and he does nothing. It's like the Seb Straka effect. Once you start betting
until the JDC, and then I'll put Glover back in.
Yeah, exactly. For my FanDuel, I had Rory, who finished T15, Xander T8, Homa T22, Noren T22, Taylor Moore miscut, and then Davis Thompson T27. So solid week. Bunch of guys that finished right around that T10 to T20 range. Pretty boring.
I think the funniest part of the Taylor Moore Davis Thompson thing is you're like, I'll bet my life on Taylor Moore making the cut, and I don't know if you guys should trust Davis Thompson. He's streaky, and then they both did the opposite.
Yeah, it ended up flipping. Again, I had a gut feeling one of those guys was going to miss the cut, and one of the guys was going to finish like T25. I probably would have bet it the other way, just in terms of my.
There's
my
no way in the world that pre-tournament you would take Davis Thompson over Taylor Moore.
No, that's what I'm saying is I would have taken Taylor Moore to finish T27 and then Davis Thompson to miss the cut. Like that. If you would have told me beforehand that one of those guys was going to finish like T25 and one of them was going to miscut, I would have put Taylor Moore as T25. I would have put Davis Thompson as miscut. Turns out they swapped. So who would have thought? So
apparently,
all right.
Yeah.
Apparently the way the actual golf played out. As far as bets last week, Jack, how did your bets do on the week?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and they/them, we dominated. And if, well, what?
just so politically
correct. That's inclusion.
Yeah,
that's inclusion.
So politically correct. Okay, whatever. Continue.
You're welcome. Peoples. Maybe if I don't identify as a person, everybody. I don't know.
All right, now it feels inherently mean because I feel like you're doing it.
How is it mean? I watched a person on TLC identify as a roller coaster. Like, I don't know what to call that. Things. If you have ears and are listening, or you're watching on YouTube and you're using subtitles, number one, we appreciate you. My name is Jack. I love all of you. I don't know why Liam took that as mean. I was trying to be inclusive. I love you guys.
No, you were. It's just you're never normally that inclusive. It's whatever. All right, get to your bets from last week. We'll continue on right here.
Anyway, we went 4-1. So you're welcome. If you tagged along and you bet money, you profited. We went up 2.24 units up on those bets. Xander top 20 and Ron 1 smacked. Xander top 10 was a winner. O'Bear top 20 was a winner. Scotty top 5. Yes, it was very scary to bet because I don't want to bet a top 5, especially when it's minus money. We bet it. It was awesome. Only miss was Cantlay top 20. So 2.24 units up on the week, which brings us to 33.76 units up on golf betting this year alone. Over the last, 13 months, I'm up over 110 units in golf betting. Something like that.
It's a wild amount. It might be closer to 15 months now just because of the way the season fell, but because I think it was started right around Masters of last year. But yeah, you're up about 100 units. It's insane. As far as my bets last week, I went 4 for 6. So I had Ludwig O'Bear over Victor Hovland. That was a win because Victor decided to forget how to hit a golf ball on the weekend. I had Homa over Fitzpatrick. That was a loss. Who would have thought Fitzpatrick was going to finish top 10 this week after really being inconsistent for the last 6? I had Alex Noren over Cam Young. That was a nice win. I had Xander Schauffele top 20 round 1. That was a win. I had Ludwig O'Bear top 20 round 1. That was a win. And then I took Patrick Cantlay top 10 at plus 210, and that was also a loss. But again, 4 for 6, and I gained 1.62 units last week. So decent little week for me.
And what does that bring you to overall?
Okay, positive half a unit.
Yeah, baby. We're back.
I just need you to know, Jack, you're an asshole for that, all right? I had like 2 bad weeks in a row and I went back to 0, all right? So you can kiss my ass.
Oh my gosh.
All
I had
right.
to.
Yeah. Whatever. How'd your winners picks do last week?
Well, winner's picks, ladies and gentlemen. I believe my exact quote was Scotty by whatever the F he wants. And Scotty by whatever the F he wants happens. You're welcome if you also cashed in on that. I mean, granted, like I think his winner was like plus 450. Like it was something ridiculous. But a
Yeah.
win's a win. So we took that. I don't even want to mention Lucas Glover, my second one, because it really is just so non. It doesn't even matter. If you get a winner's pick, everything else is peanuts.
Yeah, nicely done. My winners last week, I had Cantlay, who missed the cut, and I had Henley, who finished T27. So nothing really too interesting. Henley was a nice play. If Henley's getting you basically top 20s, I know it was a small field with only like 75, 80 guys, but again, plenty of guys you could have picked there that would have done much worse than Henley. So I'm not horribly mad at that pick. The Cantlay pick, I'm a little more angry about. So on to wild card picks. How'd you do last week?
Yeah, I lost mine, which is Jackson Koivan, top 40 at plus 260. He did make the cut, which was spectacular. He did finish 8 over on Sunday, which killed it. Granted, still happy he made the cut. That was more kind of like what you did a couple weeks ago. It's like a guy you want to watch, you want to cheer for. That was kind of what I did, and he had the capabilities. And I think going into the weekend, he was like 32nd place. Like so, he was up there. I mean, up there, granted. But I'm fine with that. I'll take a look. If I get a winner and I'm positive on bets and DFS, wow.
I was gonna say you can't go the trifecta. You can't win all of them. So you just if your loss is on the wild card bet, that's a pretty good one to lose.
Yeah.
As far as my wild card pick, it actually voided because it was a tie. I took Hideki Matsuyama as the top Asian over Benny An, Sung Jae Im, Siwoo Kim, and Tom Kim. Now, again, that is a loaded field, and I'm pretty sure Matsuyama was second to last as far as that list come Friday at like 2 in the afternoon local time. But he ended up tying with Sung Jae, and it all voided. So that's fun. But that would have been a crazy plus 280 if that would have been the one that hits. So I think Tom Kim was top 6 at one point in the tournament too. So
yeah, so is Siwoo. Siwoo was up there, and he shot 4 or 5 over on Sunday, which took him out of it. So you pretty much had a stressful Sunday.
Yeah, the wild card pick was in fact a bit of a stress ball there. So that's fun. All right, we are going to move on.
Thank God.
I will say, first things first, if you've enjoyed the podcast so far, please do drop a like, drop a follow, subscribe, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube. Follow along, whatever the best way you can. We always drop our videos, usually Monday evening / very early Tuesday morning. It depends on the editing and how long it takes me to get through all that. Sometimes the schedule just doesn't really work too well, and it's like midnight Monday night. But it's usually out by the time you're going to your Tuesday morning commute. So if you enjoy it, please do drop a like, drop a follow. It's greatly appreciated.
Yes, and we do appreciate it. And if you're just listening in, if you just listened 5 minutes ago, I'm up over 100 units in the golf betting in the last 15 months. Liam and I are both combined like 75% money rate on DFS plays. We've had, what was it like, Liam, 7 winners in the last like 12 weeks. And we don't do pick 5 guys and like everybody else. We pick 2 winners.
Yeah. It's again, we don't charge money for this. We just try and do this so that way that we can beat the sports books at the end of the day. We find a lot of enjoyment in seeing them lose money. So if we can help other people do that, then that's the best way we can do it.
And if you're a sports book and you want to sponsor us, then that narrative might change. Cha-ching, turndogolfpod@gmail.com. But for now, we want to take as much money as physically possible from them, and we are. As you heard, Liam's up half a unit, baby. Let's go.
Kiss my ass.
But anyway, it is time. This is, outside of the Masters, my favorite major of the year. Although PGA honestly exceeded expectations. That was spectacular.
Yeah.
This, on the other hand, is what I want to see. I want to see guys struggle. So this is the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, number 2, one of the most beautiful courses in the world. It's if you've never seen Pinehurst, there's like 100 courses. There's par three. It's just absolutely freaking beautiful. I cannot describe. It's designed by Donald Ross, or RTJ, Robert Trent Jones went in ahead and fixed it, and then Ben Crenshaw kind of redesigned it at the end, tried to bring it back to its original form. It is a par 70, which is a little over 7,500 yards on the given day. It's the second longest yardage on tour for yardage per par at 107.8 yards per par.
What's one? You think Valhalla?
I don't know that, to be honest. I didn't look too deep.
That'd be my guess. My guess is Valhalla, because I know that those two are some of the longest courses on tour this year. So.
Mm-hmm. And the last event here, which was the 2014 major won by Martin Keimer, which I'm still mad about because that was he won by like 35 shots.
7 strokes, yeah.
It averaged plus 3.08 shots relative to par across the tournament. So we're going to see some crazy scores. This is the most difficult event of the year. There's only one hole with a water hazard on it. So you're not going to see a bunch of guys. It's just going to be golf. Every shot matters. Some of the comp courses you may want to look at, like Augusta National, Congaree, Shinnecock, LACC, excuse me, Erin Hills. Between over the last 3 years, 250,000 to 350,000, they're called wiregrass plants. And then 40 native areas have been kind of reintroduced. So it's not going to look pretty. Like, I want everybody to, like, if you're looking for like green grass, watch Augusta. If you want Carolina native area, this is beautiful. I mean, I think the course is beautiful. It's probably not going to look great on TV because they're watering it right now, but I can guarantee you the last watering they're going to have is probably today. Yeah. It's one of those courses where like a lot of the players, you're going to watch them for the first time. If you're like a casual golf fan and you maybe just bet, you don't necessarily like watch, you're going to watch players look at the grain of the grass in the fairway from like 100 yards out. You're going to watch them tilt their head and look at the grain because everything is structured so differently. Fairways are, bleeding into these waste areas. There's narrow fairways. There's no, like I said, there's one hole with a water hazard. One of the things that Martin Keimer talked about, Tiger Woods talks about, especially when they have, a bunch of these events here, the closer you get to the hole, the harder it is, which is completely opposite to traditional golf. It's one of those events that, distance aside, is you want to look at hands and you want to look at brain. Do you have the hands to manufacture these short game shots, go up and down? And do you have the brain to manufacture these shots and go up and down without 3-putting from a foot because you're worried about rolling it down 20 feet? It's crazy.
It's so funny because on my notes, I have last played in 2014. Martin Keimer won at 8 under. The guy who finished second place was 1 under. So he was basically the only 1 under par. And then there was a quote from a reporter on the ground at Pinehurst this week. Although the greens are listed at 6,000 square feet, all of them have false fronts and fall-offs that effectively turn the green size from something of 6,000 feet into about the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. So it's like, okay, well, they're listed at 6,000 feet, but in reality, they're more like 1,000. Because if you hit the wrong space or you're 2 yards past the hole, you're running off the green and probably into one of those wastelands. And then I also have, there is no rough at Pinehurst. Everything runs into sandy native areas, often referred to as wiregrass, short grass if you're lucky, or potentially a bunker if you're also lucky. And then the 2 main stats I kind of looked at in terms of my golfers, you want somebody with an elite around the green play, and somebody with ideally elite bogey avoidance. Distance is always going to be a plus, but I've seen Tom Kim crush too many 7,500 yard courses this year to really put too much effect into that. So those are the main 2 I look at. And I assume you have the same thought process when it comes to bogey avoidance.
Kind of with bogey avoidance, mine is more so guided toward, and this is the golf nerd in me, spin on the irons. So How do we manufacture spin? Do we take a look at how are we penetrating? Are we bringing in from a draw where there's more side spin, or a fade where it's more looking at the natural bounce? Are we taking a look at chip shots that go high, low? Do we have the ability to manufacture these short games? If you're a nerd like me and you like watching practice, you did not see a single pitch shot when you're watching the short game area. It was 4 irons. It was 3 woods, bumping and runs with a gap wedge instead of a 56. Like all these things that manufacture, it was beautiful to watch because these guys are going holy crap, I cannot play normal. I can't, and I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. I think we're good there, right? So, just for
One more
note,
thing.
okay.
One more thing. This will be the 25th anniversary of Payne Stewart winning the U.S. Open,
Oh, yeah.
before passing away 6 months later in a plane crash. I'm hoping the U.S. Open will do something. I haven't seen anything if they're going to have a cap. I know Bryson said he may pull out a cap and pay homage, which would be cool, even though I hate the cap. I think this is the only event where I'd support that. But I just want to put it out there in the world. And obviously, we haven't made any statements about Grayson Murray. Obviously, it's just so tragic what happened. And I don't really like to take like political stances or something like that. But like, if you're going through something and you're listening in, please reach out to someone.
Yeah.
This world is so tough, and I don't want anybody to feel like they're alone. Please reach out. I don't care if it's through Twitter, TikTok, messages, email. I will sit here all day and talk to you guys. I know Grayson Murray's family's not listening or whatnot, but just our thoughts and prayers are with you. And with that being said, Adam Scott did take Grayson Murray's spot. So if you're seeing Adam Scott in DFS or bets, that's what happened. I know it's a really bad transition, and I don't mean it to sound like that, but just some updates that came through.
I mentioned it the week you were out too, and the transition off of that topic is one of the most difficult transitions of a lifetime. So I can understand why that's a bit of a challenge for you.
Yeah.
As far as it goes on our on our podcast, all of what we do here is going to be based off of DraftKings fantasy rankings. So Jack and I are going to start in the 10K range and above. We'll list off the names we like, go to the 9Ks, and then 8, 7, 6, et cetera, all the way down. Then we're going to list our fantasy lineups for the week in terms of what we like for DFS. Then we're going to go into bets, then winners picks, then wild cards, and we'll end it there. Just kind of give you a bit of a breakdown of what we're looking into if this is your first time listening.
And if it is your first time, leave it like, if it is, and it's like you have not watched us or listened to us before, if you have 30 seconds, leave a comment. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. We're always willing to adapt. I think it's really cool. What we have is a structure where you know exactly what's coming. So we recap for 5 minutes what happened the week before. We'll get into some rankings for DFS, get into the bets we like, our winners predictions, and wildcard, which is bets we like, but we're not confident in taking 100%. But if you guys are listening, you're like, oh, I wish you guys would do this, or like, I didn't really like this, take 30 seconds. We love that.
I'll say this. If you want to make a comment, make a comment for your winner's pick. Tell us who you think is going to win this week. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. So,
and if you're listening on podcast, go watch on YouTube, because I am so handsome. I am so devilishly handsome. I mean, come on.
All right. With that, we're going into the DraftKings pricing here. We're starting off Scotty Scheffler at 13,000, down to Brooks Koepka, aka Brooks Cupcake, at 10,000.
And if you don't know the Brooks Cupcake reference, go on YouTube or TikTok. Scotty Scheffler,
if you have a brain,
he's just not playing well. Win, runner up, 8th. Win, runner up, win. Just not great for him. That being, joking aside, he has 12 top 10s and 13 starts. Do I need to say more? Do I need to say any more? He came out in an interview and said, yeah, I wasn't playing my best golf last week because I was still thinking about the whole ordeal of being arrested. And do I need to say any more? Now, here's the thing, though. Here's my only gripe, my only concern: putting. Everything else, that guy could, God forbid, that guy could spill Frosted Flakes all over his white pants and just be soaked and roll up to the first tee and stripe it like nobody's business. This event, and you'll see, and I don't know if you'll talk about Liam, if you turn on Golf Channel live from the U.S. Open, you're going to see a lot about Rory McIlroy in like the 3 to 10 foot putting range. Yep. I think this may be a week that Scotty Scheffler gets in his own head. With that being said, he's probably still going to finish 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, you say the putting is the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing is the price. He is expensive. He's 13K. The next guy is Rory at 12-1, who in all honesty is not my favorite option this week. The next guy below that is Xander at 11.5, who is much more a guy that I like this week. But again, at that point, that's a $1,500 price difference, which could be the difference between taking like a Francesco Molinari. Again, all due respect to Francesco Molinari. great player, been around for a while, but he's probably in the low sevens versus taking a Alex Noren, let's just say, for example, who's probably slightly higher price than him. So keep that in mind again with Scotty, but I understand if you want to get to him. And if you have half a brain and a salary fits in your lineup, I understand why you chose him.
Yeah, I mean, this range for me, we spend so much time talking about a lot of these guys. What I will say is I want everyone to be aware I would fade John Rahm. And let me just read. So Masters 45th, PGA 79th. He just withdrew last week with an injury at, was it Houston for Live? Or was that the week before?
Yeah, it's Houston. He claims it's blisters. I don't know. TBD on that one.
He's also got arguably bottom 5 mental game behind maybe Hatton.
Yes.
Can't think of anybody. I mean, he is not good mentally, and I think he's struggling with the decision to go to Live a lot. I think he doesn't have the same commitment and dedication and fiery competitiveness as he does. I think it's just different. I'm not criticizing anybody. Like, this statement is not. I don't care what anybody did. I think he struggles with it a lot. I think it's just a different level of competitiveness when you're playing buddies, you're listening to Kodak Black while you're teeing off, and then you can go year round and you have a private chef with lobster and cocaine and 3 beers and a hooker ready for you. I'm just making stuff up. But I think everybody understands, like, that's different than what every PGA Tour golfer does, which is like 365 days, 24 hours a day, golf, structure, all these things. Well, yeah, but I just think he regrets it, and I think he's struggling with it. And I'm not making accusations. I think it. And I think that his game is struggling because now he's going into these spots where I think he wants to be a member. He's being kind of shunned by the people who are there. I think it's getting to him. I just don't think this price is reasonable for Jon Rahm, and I don't think he's going to succeed. So I don't understand why he's up here.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost. I'll say this: he's lost an approach in 4 straight tournaments. I totally agree with you as far as Rambo goes. He's just not playing in peak form. He's probably the easiest person to just pass over in terms of this range. I'm going to go back to Rory on why I don't think he's great for the spot. I think this is potentially the worst spot for him in terms of the 4 majors of the year. He had the luxury of gaining almost 5.5 strokes off the tee at Valhalla. But he's not really going to be able to do that at Pinehurst, and his bogey avoidance it's not good. Guy makes plenty of bogeys. So it's small details, but for being the second most expensive guy in the field and being $1,000 more than everybody else not named Xander and Scotty, I think that Rory is probably worth fading this year. He may finish, T30, but if you're not, are you really excited if your guy at 12,100 finishes T30? And he cost you as much as he did, and you didn't get Scotty, who's basically guaranteed at least the backdoor top 10. It's kind of that give and take. So Rory's somebody I'm fading this week.
That is it. I have to jump off camera for 2 seconds, but how do you feel about Bryson?
Yeah, I was just going to actually talk about him. So Bryson, similarly to Rory, it doesn't seem like his ideal layout here at Pinehurst. At Valhalla and Augusta, when he played good, his one weakness was strokes gained around the green. Again, I think around the green play is going to be something that's a very high amount of importance this week. Do I think he's missing the cut? No. Do I think he's going to play all right? Yes. But again, the important part regarding Bryson is that if I'm putting $10,100 into Bryson, and he's probably my 1, if not maybe my 2 golfer in terms of DFS, I want somebody that I think is more likely to win, and I don't know if Bryson is that guy this week. I understand if you can get to him, but I mean Bryson is just simply not going to be the guy for me this week based on that around the green play.
Yeah, I don't know what you said, to be honest. My Mac, all of a sudden, I realized it was sitting here with the charger out, so it was like, you're going to die, and the computer. I think I probably got the gist of what you're saying is Bryson around the green is not proven to be as strong as he is with the irons and driver.
Yep.
With that being said, I think that his game has come into a really good spot mentally, and I think he has the ability to score. I don't think he'll probably win this event, but I can for sure see him finishing leaderboard And I'm sorry if I repeated anything, so I won't talk about it too much.
No. You're a little higher on Bryson than I am. Again, I'm the around the green play is a little scary. I think he's probably going to finish like, teens to maybe T20 in my opinion. Which again, still isn't awful, but he's probably not your 1 or your 2 in terms of what you're hoping for.
So DFS rankings wise, is Scotty your number 1 or is Xander your number 1? Just for DFS, not anything else.
It's got to be Scotty. But again, Xander is extremely close on that one. Like, I don't know if it's 1 and 2. It's more 1A and 1B in my opinion. I think Scotty's 1A. I think Xander's 1B. I think Bryson is probably 3, but a sizable gap down in my opinion from Xander to Bryson. And then maybe Brooks, Rory, Rahm. It's again, I don't like any of those 3 all that much. I think if you're not going with one of those top 3, you're maybe starting in the 9K range and just trying to load up with a bunch of guys, which is not the worst idea, but keep that in mind. So what about you?
About loading up, no, just kidding.
Well, what's your top 3 then in this range?
DFS, it's so hard because you have to take in effect that $1,500 price difference.
Yeah, I know.
I think for me, because it's a major, I think it opens up so many more avenues, and I think Xander, I stand by it, is the most consistent player from tee to green in the PGA. Just yes, I know Scotty is number 1. I know Scotty, calm down, nerds. Xander for me, I think is 1A to Scotty's 1B just for DFS pricing. If you're asking me who I think is probably going to win, it's probably Scotty A and Xander 1B. But I think that for DFS, it's Xander, a hair fiber, and then Scotty. And I think I'm tied between Brooks and DeChambeau. I think what I would say for Ephraim is I think they both have way tougher mental games than Rory right now.
Yeah.
Bryson has talked about so many times, which I think is really interesting. Last point I'll make about YouTube golf. I've watched a couple clips. I'm not a YouTube golf guy. I know one guy. We know one guy in Good we went to high school with. I won't name drop. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But he's just. I think it's really good for him. I think it's really cool. I think Brooks loves these events. He's not going to go out there and shoot 59, but he doesn't also go out there and shoot 81. So I think this could be a really good spot for him. If everybody plays their B, let's just call it B+ level game, I would say in the U.S. Open, probably Brooks.
Which makes sense. All right. With that, that's your top 3. Let's get into the 9K range. We are starting off with Victor Hovland at 9,800. And, there's only 5 guys. To Wyndham Clark at 9,000.
Well, I'll tell you one guy I love, and I'll tell you one guy I hate. One guy I love is Colin Morikawa.
Yep.
You take a look at, let's just call it his last 6 weeks. Runner-up, 4th, 16th, 9th, and 3rd. We talked about 7 weeks ago how bad he was playing and that you should not take him. And obviously he listens to the Turn Dog Golf podcast, and that lit a fire under him. Hopefully you didn't sense the sarcasm there. But he's been playing arguably 2B in terms of the PGA Tour in the last 6 weeks behind maybe Scotty. I mean, no one's beating Scotty in the last 6 weeks. Guy's on fire. Now you take a look at the metrics and you take a look at driver accuracy. You take a look at a guy that dominates with the irons when he's on. I think you take a look at the way he hits the ball. If you're looking at nerds like me, the way he compresses the ball, he has the ability to drive a lot more spin, especially in those cut shots. If you're firing into these grain, if you're looking off Bermuda, I mean, it's just the way that the metrics set up. I think he's really good. And I think that the putter and the short game really have been good for him lately. And I think that will add more attrition to his percentage. So at 9,400, you should flip him, in my opinion, on the metrics of Jon Rahm. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think Colin's going to crush it this week. He's gained on approach and putting in 5 of his last 6 starts. So you talked about his last 6 weeks, how he's basically gone on this absolute tear. It's because not only are the irons back, which again were a struggle for him for a while, but he's also found the putter. And the last time he found the putter was when he won the Open Championship, 2019?
Oh God.
Don't quote me on it, but he won it, 2018, 2019 range. And that was the last time his putter was this level of good and consistent. So again, I think Colin has high winning upside this week. And he's the kind of guy where if you don't want to go with a Scotty or a Xander, I think he's a good option to throw in there as a winner's pick for sure.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. And then the player I hate, and not personally, but Wyndham Clark.
No, I hate him. It's okay.
What?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, dude, I was gonna say what the heck? Wyndham Clark, in his last 6 weeks, 53rd at the Memorial, starting off with a 77, missed cut at the PGA, finishing 115th, barely made the cut at Wells Fargo, did really good at RBC Heritage, third. Masters missed the cut and made the cut barely at the Texas Children's Houston Open. This guy has, in his last, like, don't quote me, this isn't a direct quote, I can't remember, but his last, like, 20 appearances, his only made cut is a win. Like, he has one made cut in a major, and it's a win. Everything else has been miscut. Now, granted, yes, the player he was 3-4 years ago is not the player he is now. This is not a setup for Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, no, 100% it's not. It's so funny to me because in this 9K range, I'll say it, I like Aubert and I like Morikawa, and then I hate Hovland, can't like. So I mean Hovland I hate because he's a bottom 10 guy in strokes gained around the green. He's also lost in strokes gained around the green in 8 of his last 9 starts, which again is going to be very important this week. If he's like 4 whacking from the green because he can't keep it on there, it's going to be a really bad sign. As far as Ludwig Aubert goes, he turned pro 1 year ago this week. Since he's gone pro, he is statistically the 5th best player in the world, behind only Scotty, Rory, Xander, and then you could probably throw in like Bryson, I think, as potentially that 4th guy. Depending on who you want to be that 4th guy, he might be 4th, he might be 5th. You might want to throw somebody else in there, but he has been an arguably top 5 player on tour since he's gone pro. Then you have Patrick Cantlay, who's on probably the worst streak of his career at this point. Barely made the cut at Valhalla, looked butt ugly on the weekend. Then missed the cut at the Memorial, where he always finishes T10 or better. His irons are awful. He can't finish on Sunday, so that's even worse. Then you go to Wyndham Clark, where I'm basically just going to repeat the exact same things I said for Patrick Cantlay, except he arguably finishes better on Sunday, but usually he doesn't get to Sunday because he's missed so many cuts. So if that tells you, take Aubert, take Morikawa, or skip to the 8K range, in my opinion.
Well, you said it. Speaking of the 8K range, starting off with JT, Justin Thomas, Kentucky boy at 8,900. Well, technically Alabama. Well, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All the way down to Hideki, may make the tee time, Matsuyama.
Is it bad? I kind of really dislike this 8K range.
Is it possible to have a more firecracker range?
Yeah, I don't really want any of them in my lineups just because like they all have issues in one direction or another that I can't really rely on any of them. I'm going to start off with a guy that everybody seems to be talking about this week that I don't understand. Cam Smith. He seems to be really popular because of his short game. But his approach and his off the tee have been borderline abysmal, like some of the worst on tour kind of deal. He's lost 6 strokes off the tee and approach combined in 4 of his last 6 starts, which, like, if you do that on the PGA Tour or in a major, you're missing the cut more likely than not. And if you're making the cut, then you're like Jackson Koivan, and you're like the last guy in making the cut kind of deal, which again is good if he's your 6th guy, not good if he's 8,700. So I think Cam Smith is a bit of fool's gold for whoever takes him this week. I think Hideki Matsuyama is probably the replacement if you want somebody with good around the green play. He ranks 3rd in the field in strokes gained around the green. His irons have been just as good, if not better, than Cam Smith as well. The biggest issue is always the WD concern on whether he's getting the first tee that Jack kind of mentioned. If you put him in, you just are going to have to monitor it come Wednesday night / Thursday morning. Once he shows up on Thursday and he makes to the first tee, there's like a 99.9% likelihood he plays 4 rounds. He's just got to get there. It's terrifying. Trust me, I get it, but it's one of those things I don't like that many people in the 8K range. I mean, maybe Homa, but like he's been a little inconsistent recently.
Yeah, and when we say don't like, I mean, listen, the reality is if Max Homa is runner-up coming into Sunday afternoon, you better believe that we're rooting for Max Homa. If Zalatoris, like, we're not saying it's just like Justin Thomas. Let's just start from the top. does these things where he goes really, really good and then just kind of halts himself. This could
Yep.
be an event that I think he could bounce back from. But the thing with Justin Thomas, I think a lot of people don't take into account, he is not accurate with his driver. When he's off, my good Lord, is he off. It is scary. Cam Smith, I do like. I'm not as high on him as some people in the community. People are like saying like, oh, you got to put him in at like plus 50,000, whatever his odds are.
Yeah.
No shot. With that being said, this is not an event that's going to get to 12 under. And I think that the way he plays his game could benefit because I want to say the worst round he's had the entire year has been 73. Now, granted, I know that stat is, take that with an asterisk, but that's still going to be really good. And if you can go 73 4 days in a row, yes, that's 12 over, but you're going to make the cut. 2014, I think the cut line was 5 over. I think we're looking at 6 or 7 this year. I really do.
Yeah, I think guys will play a little better than in 2014 as far as it goes. I think it could be 4 or 5 over again. Again, my challenge with this range is like the inconsistencies between guys like JT or Cam Smith or like Zalatoris. I can get guys who, in my mind, give similar levels of concern as far as inconsistency at like the low 7K range. I mean, shoot, like I'll just tell you now, like Alex Noren, Billy Horschel, Keegan Bradley, those guys are all in the 6K range. I don't know how much worse those guys are than some of the guys here in this 8K range. And if I can get them for $1,500 cheaper on DFS, then like I'm gonna take the money savings. At that point there, you can get up into the 9K range and go get Morikawa or Obear again. But like, there's just so many of these guys where I'm like, there's too many inconsistencies that make me really nervous. Now, again, do I think a majority of them will probably make the cut? Yeah, more likely than not. But I think most of them will finish in the realm of like 30th to 40th. And there's going to be at least probably 2 guys here that miss a cut.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be mad at that. I think Homa is another good option too. He has had a tendency to flare up. I think he shot like 78 at Charles Schwab to open his event. Tommy Fleetwood's been really good. He's a really good iron player. The one thing for me that I think a lot of people aren't taking into account he is a very low spin iron player. So he's going to have to be very target oriented, which is going to leave a lot of longer putts. And I don't know if he has the wherewithal, or not the wherewithal, the ability to 2-putt a lot of the time. I think it's going to be a lot of 3-putts. It's kind of the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It's scary. Fitzy's struggled, which is, he finished 5th at Memorial. Outside of that, he struggled. Torres has struggled.
I don't hate Fitzy this week just on the sole basis of this being a very like systematic thought process, like mental style golf course. And if there's anybody on tour that's a very like, I'm going to dig into the numbers and get analytical with it, it is Bryson. Matt Fitzpatrick. Well, and Bryson, but like it's Matt Fitzpatrick. He's one of those like 2 or 3 guys that does it. Like he played well with the Players, and the Players is kind of a systematic course. Well, as close to a systematic course as this will get, of course, or you know what I'm going for. But like Fitzpatrick is one of those guys that I think like has a chance to do well. So he's probably another one of those few guys in this range that I don't dislike. I don't know if I love him, but he's probably a viable option.
Yeah. And then Tony Finau, he's played spectacular. It is like his last 5 weeks, I think he has 4 top 20s.
Yeah.
He's been really good. I don't know. I can't get to it. I can't convince myself. That's one of the things I don't really bet anything. I can't convince myself on.
Yeah. It's funny because like if this was Mexico, we'd be all over Tony
or Detroit.
But like I think because it's a major and there's so many other like I don't know if higher upside names is the first thing that comes to mind or what it is, but like I just feel like I can get to so many better options than Tony, and that's the same reason why I don't get to him. I'll tell you, my 3 guys I like in this range are probably Hideki, Matt Fitzpatrick, and then Homa. I don't know about the order. I mean, maybe you swap Fitzy and Hideki or Fitzy and Homa. It scatters based on who's who. All right. Into the 7K range we go. Starting with Jordan Spieth at 7,900, all the way down to Justin Rose at 7,000.
No. Oh yeah, you're right. This is a interesting category because you have guys all across the board. I'll talk really quickly about a guy that I don't think anybody's talking about. I have not seen one thing. It's Dustin Johnson. I love Dustin Johnson. Now, he is questionable. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the best player in the world, but he's been so consistent on live, and then he comes to these majors and is iffy. I don't know what the heck happened in the Masters. Nobody in the world predicted that he was going to be like 80th place at the Masters. Yep. PGA, he came back a little bit, but if there's a course or an event on the PGA Tour that he's able to play with, it's the U.S. Open. He is not going to go out and shoot 65. But the majority of the time outside of Augusta, apparently, he's not going to go out there and shoot 80.
I was just going to make that joke if you didn't, so I'm glad you got ahead of yourself on that one.
Dustin Johnson, again, my threshold is $7,500 and under. If you make a cut, I'm happy. $7,400 for a multi-previous major champion and a guy that I would bet my left you-know-what on to make the cut. I think this is a really good opportunity for him to bounce back and reignite that name. I don't hate this. I think that's one of the things that I really like is Dustin Johnson. When he's on, cuts the ball really well with the driver. He can be very accurate. He has very high spin numbers, even though he penetrates really well. And he has really solid small ball putting. So I think those are three metrics that I don't think a lot of people are looking into in a guy like Dustin Johnson when you have names in this range that you could fight for.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I'm a little scarred from the Masters because I had Dustin Johnson at Augusta, so I won't get to him, but I understand. I also think it's a bit tough to say 7,500 is still the cutoff in the majors because now they have the 5K range. So I almost feel like it's like the 7K and under range now that it's a made cut. But again, I understand Bo. I understand the thought process there. I'm going to go quickly through Hatton and Lowry. I'm just going to group them together because they're both extremely emotional players. It's a big 50-50 this week. Will one bad break turn them into like a character at that point? They have decent performances, but it seems kind of like a fool's gold. I don't know if it makes a ton of sense, especially to get to Hatton. Lowry, you can maybe get away with, but I think that's terrifying. I'm going to talk about Tom Kim at 7,300. I think he's potentially one of the best options in the 7K range. He's gained in ball striking around the green and putting in all 4 of his last 5 starts. The form is coming back, and again, 7,300 seems like a really cheap, good price for him. If Tom Kim was 8,000, I would have totally understood it, and he's not. But I think he's just as good as those guys in the 8K range. I'm also going to talk about Sung Jae Im at 7,100. He's again in a weird range where he's almost in the 7K range, but he's a proven short game player. He has 4 T12 or better finishes in his last 5 starts. He's also gained in ball striking, short game, and around the green in all 5 of those starts. He's trending upward. He's a guy that plays well on tournament courses. As many people know, he was kind of an Augusta darling in terms of winners picks for a few years there. Now, again, don't look at this year because he started the first 4 months of this year in potentially some of the worst form in human history. But again, he's really kind of turned the corner, and I think that there is a good chance to be ahead of the curve and get Sung Jae Im this week.
I don't hate it. This is going to be a very interesting one. I think Jason Day is a name that you should probably avoid. Yes, he's coming back into form a little bit. He's done fine. I just think this is not going to play well to his strengths. Yeah, I know he's played well at events like this in the past. I just can't get to it, and I can't convince myself, and that's one of the guys I'll avoid.
Same with Thagala.
Yeah.
I
think Corey Connors is also a name you can target. He's one of the best pure ball strikers in the world. He's probably not going to finish top 10 or 15 in this event, but I think 20, 30, 40th place is unreasonable for this guy in terms of a pure ball striker. He's 15 for 15 on cuts, and at 7,200, that feels like a great number and a great spot for me if you're DFS, if you have $7,200 left.
Yeah, no. Again, I don't think Connors is the worst option out there at that price point. I might go Sung Jae at 71, save the extra $100, go elsewhere. But again, if you have 72 and you like Connors over him, I get it. So, all right, into the 6K range we go. Alex Noren at 6,900, all the way down to Brendan Todd. He made this field. What in the hell? Yeah, he did. Okay, good for him. All right, who you like in this range?
Well, I'll save most of the people in this range for you, but I'll talk about 2 really quickly. One is Christian Bezuidenhout. I think really quickly, He's very, very, very slept on for this event. Now, he's not a guy that's going to go out there and shoot 63 under. That's just not who he is. But you take a look at the finishes outside of the PGA, he's had in his last like 6 or 7 events 4, 17, 16, 3, 28, 25, 9, and 13 the players. All these events outside of the PGA are, he's done well at, but all these have been high ticket value tournaments. Like there hasn't been an event that I look at and I'm like, oh gosh, Corn Ferry, regional, like everything has been very high value and he's performed really, really well. He's not going to go out there and shoot 64. And the events that he played worst at, his worst round of the year is 74. That's going to do perfectly fine here. If you do it one round, his short game and putting is spectacular. And I think that a lot of people are overshadowing it. And then the second guy I really like is Tom McKibben. He is awesome. He's one of the, if you want to talk about thick accents,
oh yeah,
I need subtitles.
He's a Euro Tour guy. To anybody that doesn't know any better, Tom Kibben's been crushing it on the Euro Tour.
It is not Euro Tour; it's DP World Tour.
Whatever.
But yeah, he finished 8th at the European Open, 23rd at Volvo China, 7th at the ISPS, which is spectacular. Qatar Masters, he was top 5 at. Like he's done really well at these high ticket value events in the DP World Tour, where you're going to see a lot of guys that cross over, like Rombo, Rory, Meronk, a lot of these guys that are coming over. They're going to play some of these DP World Tour events. He performs really well. Now, granted, he doesn't have a ton of major pressure, but I think these high ticket value events, 6,200, I think that's a great value.
Yeah, he's an approach guy. So again, it's kind of baby Colin Morikawa-esque, where he's really well known for his approach play. So that's your Tom McKibben tidbit if you want to go down that route. I'm going to list off a bunch of guys here, and I'll get into some of their details on it. Alex Noren, huge bogey avoidance guy. Most weeks were pretty high on him, but again, his game also fits Pinehurst pretty well. He's gained with the putter in 8 of the last 9 starts, and he's gained in strokes gained around the green in 7 of his last 9 starts. So he's got plenty of good metrics for this week. If you want to live guy in this range, Dean Burmeister. He's been crushing it on live. He has top 10 finishes. What? Burmeister? Is it not Dean Burmeister? I've literally heard his name. Burmeister? No. I've literally heard Burmeister on okay. Whatever.
Who are you going to trust?
No, I'll trust you, but the golf is dumb because I literally Google searched it to make sure I was saying his last name right. Crushing it on live, top 10 finishes all across the board, including a win in Miami. He also finished T12 at Valhalla, again, which is an equally stacked field in terms of U.S. Open versus PGA. We have Billy Horschel, who Jack likes to talk about his ugly winner's outfit. Corrales.
That literally looked like a Walmart paper towel. Like it was so see-through.
Yeah. Anyways, regardless, after his win on Corrales, and since then, he's gone on basically the world's greatest heater. He's gaining strokes putting and around the green in all 5 starts since Corrales. Very viable option this week. He's probably going to make you a cut and finish somewhere in the realm of like T30. So I'm high on him. Seb Straka is an interesting option. 6 top 16 or better finishes in his last 7 starts. He's on, again, an equally hot heater. But be advised, he usually does best when there is no expectations on him. So now that I've talked about him on the podcast, he'll probably end up missing a cut just because that's the way usually Seb Straka usually works. Last guy I will mention, which for whatever reason I thought he was in this range. Where's Keegan?
6,800.
Is he? Am I just blind?
Yes.
Yes, I am. So I got glasses. There he is. Again, Keegan's been playing basically just as good as the rest of those guys. His irons have been great. His putter's been great, and he's an equally good option. So
that was the last guy I was going to talk about. So you took the words right out of my mouth. I'll switch it over to Tom Hoge really quickly. He's been very consistent. He's not going to finish on top of the leaderboard by any shape of the word, but he's just a very consistent golfer all across the metrics. And I think that accuracy is going to just be really good this week. It's about the putter for Tom Hoge. I mean, you could say that for everybody, but I really like that number for him. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah. All right. You got 15 seconds to talk about the guy who's ranked statistically worst in the field, but is our favorite golfer on the planet.
No, it is not. I double checked all the metrics. He's not.
One of. Sorry.
One of. Listen, the reality is it's Tiger Woods. You never can count that guy up. He's the greatest golfer in human history. This has become a phenomenon where he goes out in these practice rounds and shoots 20. He shot 29. That is not a rumor. That is confirmed on the front nine with Spieth, Fowler, and JT. He shot 29 in the front nine. This is an event, statistically, that plays well to new Tiger. I'm not saying he's going to win, but statistically plays well. Accuracy off the drives, which he didn't have 6 years ago that he has now. Very spinny long irons, which he does. A really great set of hands and mental game, which he has. And he's not going to lose a lot of balls. So statistically, again, I'm not saying he's going to win, even though if he won, I would literally run a marathon naked and pee the entire 26 miles. But statistically, this is an event that I think he has a reasonable shot to make the cut and play all 4 rounds, because it's not hilly. It's playing to target golf, which, if you know Tiger, that's the mold he played for most of his career. And I don't hate it. And again, I'm going to be biased, but I actually, as a bettor, I don't hate it.
As a bettor, the only option you have for betting Tiger Woods is a made cut, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That is your only option. As far as DFS lineups, he's $200 more expensive than Christian Bezuidenhout, which is, you can't do it. I'm sorry. Like, Bezzy's $200 cheaper. I mean, Hadwin's $100, or no, Hadwin's also $6,200, who's been playing better. Adrian Meronk is $6,300. So, like, there's a ton of guys that are basically more consistently playing on the PGA Tour that I think would be options you would go to on DFS. If you want to bet Tiger, and this is Liam, a statistical guy, he's like plus 180 to make the cut right now. Do that. Well, depending on where your sports books, depending on what your sports books are. He's going to be somewhere in the realm of 170 plus 175 to 200. Bet that, and then just don't bet anything else with Tiger, and enjoy the weekend. And if he does well, then you can enjoy it that way. That is the Liam analytical side. Jack's talking about the emotional side slightly, but also
I wasn't emotional there. I was very statistically oriented there.
Yeah,
you're talking about metrics and mold.
Yeah.
I could be emotional. You can never count out. You woke up as Tiger frickin' Woods. Let me just tell you guys, that guy is built as a machine. He has the great attitude. He's got one of the best short games in the world. Spinny long irons that are high, that are penetrating. He's going to play to all these events and structures and everything in between. You're not cutting me off when Tiger frickin' Woods is involved, because he's the greatest of all time, and I'd let him have my children.
I would also say this: if you don't want to go with Bez at 6,200 and you want a cheap option, Davis Thompson is 6,100. He's an option. Or if you want a guy who won't miss a cut and is one of the cheapest guys in the field who hasn't missed a cut, Mark Hubbard is $6K, which just feels criminal, because he's probably going to make the cut and then finish like T50, which is fine because he's 6,000. So he's probably going to be your lowest guy and he'll still make the cut. So with that, let's get into the 5K range, starting with Takumi Kanaya, all the way down to, oh boy, I don't know this guy's name, Maxwell Moldovan.
There's so many people in here.
Yeah, I mean, pick a guy, pick any guy in the 5K range. Here you go. This guy's name sounds easy to say. Brian Kim. There we go. He's 6K. Easy enough.
Yes, this is a range.
This is terrifying.
This is scary, and if you're here, like I am, you have to be very structured in terms of the guys you look. For me, the one guy that I took a look at was Tim Whiting. And if you remember this is a guy that I chose at the PGA who blew chunks. Now, with that being said, this guy statistically is so structured, so measured, so level, that if you're in this range, he is like the only guy that I can go to, and I'm like, I have confidence in you. Kuchar somehow beat Joaquin Niemann by 5 shots in the U.S. Open qualifier, which is crazy. You have David Puig, who had his only good week of the year and somehow made it, even though it's an Open. You have just guys that are just scary.
Yeah, it's a terrifying thought, but again, there's a few of these guys that stand out. I'm going to talk about one guy where, again, I don't know if his last name is Sapin or Sapan or however you want to say it. Jack says it's Capon, but it's Frankie Capon III. He's got 4 top tens on the Korn Ferry Tour in the past 6 weeks. He also played in the U.S. Open last year and has played in 2 other PGA Tour events, making the cut in one of them. So he's played on the again. This is what we're talking about in this 5K range. It's like, have they played on a PGA Tour event before? Have they made a cut? Like it's that level of like, wow, it's ugly. Frankie is, I think, one of almost the min players, maybe 5,100. I don't know where his name is, and that's fine. But again, he's probably one of the best options, in my opinion, of guys that is that range. So you do have Mac Meisner, right? Please tell me I'm saying his name right at least.
Who?
Mac Meisner. Dude, what? He's like 5,800 or 5,900. Yeah, 5,800.
I have to look.
Mac Meisner. Guy's made 3 straight cuts, including a T5 at the Charles Schwab and a T13 at Myrtle
last
Beach.
name. I'm like, who are you talking about?
Yeah,
I got you.
He finished T57 at the RBC Canadian. I think as far as guys that aren't those 5K mins, I think Mac Meisner is probably one of the best options to make the cut. So he's got plenty of experience in decent PGA fields, and that's what stands out. So it's one of those 2 guys for me.
Yeah, the only other guy if you watch college golf, I'm gonna butcher this name. This is a first for me because I cannot say it. Frederick Jetterup. I cannot say it. It's like a mental tick. I cannot say it. He's a Seminole, Florida State. He was ranked 7th in the PGA Tour U. Qualified at the university, or what was it? It was either Georgia or Denver with the qualifying back-to-back 66s. Number 8 on the PGA Tour University rankings, which is awesome. He also earned Korn Ferry status. He is a 2022 All-American, 24 ACC champion. He made his debut at professional at Himmerland and finished 24th. So he has the ability to make the cut and play well in these events. At 5,200, it's just if you start off Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, that's your guy.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go like Gordon Sargent, because I know you're a big fan of his at Augusta.
I love Gordon Sargent. He is so fun to watch, but he doesn't have the structure and the game. Masters is one thing. U.S. Open's a different ballgame.
Yeah, I get it. Again, it's the same reason I couldn't get to like Sam Bennett. I was the same thought process where I was like, Sam Bennett would be fun, and I'm like, I can't get to him this week. Like it's not Augusta. It's I gotta switch it up. So
Gordon Sargent is the number 1 amateur rank. And he runner up at the D1 championship, runner up at Lafayette, 23rd at SEC, and then a win at the Mason Rudolph championship, which is awesome. But then you take a look at pro.
Yeah, it's a different story. I get that. All right, with that, let's get into DraftKings lineups. How are we looking at this week? What do you got?
Maybe listen. Okay. Xander Schauffele, 11,500. Bryson DeChambeau, 10,100. Colin Morikawa at 9,400. Russell Henley at 6,900. Tom McKibben, 6,200, and then Tim Whiting at 5,600. I love the first 4 guys. McKibben has great upside, and Whiting's either going to shoot 58 or 158, and there's literally no in between. But at 5,600, I think he's one of those guys that can fire 6 birdies off to cover up the fact that he's going to make 10 bogeys.
If you swap out McKibben with like a Bez, I kind of really like that lineup, in my opinion, because those guys are both 6,200.
Yeah, why would I do that?
I don't know if McKibben's the guy like at 62. I might like Bez a little more, but again, outside of them, I mean, or outside of that switch, do you want me to answer that question?
Yeah, that's a really good call. Why did I do it like that?
I don't know, but again, outside of him, while you're thinking about potentially swapping it, because it sounds like you may. Big fan of X this week. Big fan of Bryce. If you can get X and Bryson, that's a great lineup. Collins obviously going to be spectacular, and then Henley's solid at 69, and then again Tim Whiting. He's one of the 5K options. So, are you sticking with McKibben, or are you going to go to Bez?
I'm going to go to Bez, but now I have more money to play with because I messed up my lineup because I was looking at that old one. Hold on now. Hold the phone, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we're gonna let Jack go crazy, go stupid over there. I'm gonna go ahead and work on my DraftKings lineup. So
Hold on. I got my DraftKings.
all right, go for it.
Updated. Same top three: Xander, Bryson, and Colin.
Yep.
Then I have Corey Connors at 7,200, Bez at 6,200, and I have Tim Whiting at 5,600.
There we go. Golf's easy. So you're welcome on that one.
If McKibben beats frickin' Bez, I'm gonna come and chop your anus.
All right. Well, congratulations then. But you're very happy to have Bez, and I can tell.
I like.
For my DraftKings lineup, I'm going Xander Schauffele 11,500, Ludwig Gobert 9,600, Hideki Matsuyama 8,000, Tom Kim 7,300, Alex Noren 6,900, Billy Horschel 6,600. Pretty safe option. That I don't think is right for me though either. I think I took Colin over Ludwig. I'm gonna leave it. Why not? I feel pretty confident on both of them. Doesn't matter. So, all right, that's the lineup. What about your FanDuel?
FanDuel, I have Xander at 12,000. I have Colin at 11,300. Brooks Koepka at 11,100. The frickin' GOAT, Tiger Woods at 8,600. I have Tom McKibben at 8,400. And then I have Christian Bezuidenhout or Bezuidenhout, if you're European, at 8,200. I think that's honestly a really solid lineup. And Tiger Woods, yes, is expensive.
Yeah.
More, obviously, it's an emotional play because it's Tiger. But I think that looking at what he needs to do to succeed here and looking at his game as of late, you take a look at data. He could do it. Data.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. We'll see. For my FanDuel lineup, the first three names, Scotty Scheffler, 13,500. Xander Schauffele, 12,000. Ludwig Gobert, 10,800. Alex Noren, 8,800. Mark Hubbard, 7,800. Frankie Capin the third, 7,000. Those first three names could easily finish like top five. All of them, in my opinion.
I'm hoping for it.
Yeah. And if they do, and two other guys make cuts, Liam's in good shape as far as FanDuel goes. So, all right, into bets we go. You had 17 bets, I think, this week?
Strap in, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy. All right, everyone take it now.
I love them. I won't spend too much time in detail. If you want detailed analysis, you can go look up Turn Dog Golf Pod on TikTok, where I will give you detailed analysis. But for now, I'll go very quickly. USA winner is minus 155. Take a look at the top 10 guys. You have Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, and Justin Thomas in terms of odds. You have 5 of the top 10 right there. One of them is Victor Hovland, who Liam and I both think is not going to be there. Another one is Jon Rahm, who we don't think is going to be there. Yep. And I don't think Rory McIlroy with his putting is going to be there either way. So right now you take away those 3, 5 of the top 7 guys that we take a look in the data are American. I really like that in terms of the odds. I think between Scotty, Xander, and Colin, you can make a bet right there and they're probably going to win. Colin Morikawa, top 20 in round 1 is plus 185. I think if he gets off to a hot start with the irons and continues that momentum, that's a lock. Scotty, top 20 in round 1 is minus 110. He's coming off a frickin' win. Guy's back, baby. Guy's back. Cam Smith, top 40 is minus 140. You give me one of the greatest short game players of this generation at top 40 with those odds. Do I love it? No, but I have to support the metrics. Brooks Koepka, top 30 at minus 150. If there's one guy that loves U.S. Opens, it's Brooks Koepka. Ludwig Gobert, top 30, minus 163. Like Liam talked about earlier, top 5 statistically in the last 12 months. I love it. Bryson, top 30 at minus 163. Guys turned into a new player over the last 12 months. I really like it. Xander Schauffele, top 20 is minus 150. I really like. One of the best bets, in my opinion, is Colin Morikawa, top 20 at minus 110. Right around even money for a guy that's been on a heater. Alex Noren and Russell Henley, both making the cut, are each minus 188. Those guys have been, I think they each only have one missed cut in the entire year, which is spectacular. I have Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Ludwig Gobert made cut parlay is minus 176. All 3 of those guys are top 10 in the field, and I think have a good chance to win. Whew. If you wanted some wild card plays, you're like, ooh, it's Jack, you're being a little bit of a baby, which that's how I make money. Here are some fun ones. Jon Rahm to miss the cut is plus 240. That'll probably shoot up to right around plus 275 by Wednesday night. So if you want to wait, you can. This guy has not played well this year. He's not played well. I spent a ton of time talking about it. That's crazy. Wyndham Clark missed the cut is plus 175. Guy's made one major cut in his career. Granted, it was a win. Good for him, but one. Colin Morikawa, top 5 is plus 360. He's hit that a couple times in the last 6 weeks. I just closed my app, so I don't have my notes on me. And then Xander Schauffele, top 5 is plus 275. Listen, here's the reality between that play. One of those two is hitting top 5. That's making me money. That's what I'm going for.
And Jack did skip one, but just know that when I say my wild card pick, it is going to be the exact same.
I'll talk about it. It's Tiger Woods to make the cut at plus 200. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was trying to flow into my wild card, and then I just blanked it.
Yeah, I figured you missed that one. For me, I am doing, how many bets did I do this week? 7? 7. Yeah, 7. Quick math. There we go. My bets: Alex Noren, top 40 is plus 120. I have Hideki Matsuyama over temper tantrum Terrell Hatton at minus 120. I have Ludwig Aubert over Victor Hovland at plus 110.
Pause. Say that one more time.
I have Ludwig Aubert over Victor Hovland plus 110. Yeah, plus money for that, by the way. Thank you. With one of the worst around the green players, and of course it's one of the toughest around the green. Free money. I have Scotty Scheffler top 20 round 1 at minus 110. I have Ludwig Aubert top 20 round 1 at plus 210. I have Sungjae Im to make the cut at minus 188, and I have Alex Noren to make the cut at minus 188.
Couple squad rides, but we've been better this year. We're at like a 22% clip on that instead of 0.
If we can't win Scotty Scheffler's squad rides, and he's the best statistical player in the world, we have other challenges. So
world? Cougar Collins still alive.
You're right. How could I forget about Cougar?
John Daly.
True. So I'm so sorry for disrespecting John Daly like that. So, all right, let's do wild card picks first because we'll save winners for last.
I have a plus 1,091 bet for you on the odds. It is 2 guys to miss the cut. It is Victor Hovland and Jason Day. Victor Hovland, like Liam talked about, he has upside. Let me just point that out there. 7 months ago, he had an argument for being the number 1 player in the world. Fast forward 7 months later, you can make the argument he's not top 10 in the world. He is. I don't know why. But he has struggled on the short game. Really, this is going to be an event that's going to test him. And if he makes the cut, I think it's going to be close to the number. Jason Day has struggled since he's had his win, which is beautiful to watch. But he has struggled. And I think 2 guys that have the capabilities to struggle in a wild card, and you're giving me plus 1,000 odds, you put, let's just call it $10 on it. You throw a tenner on it as a wild card, you're walking away with a little over $100, almost $110 off a $10 bet. Yeah, that's a nice steak dinner. So let me throw that in for a wild card. I'll throw a tenner on that.
There you go. I'm a big fan of just a Hovland bet alone, by the way, as a miscut. I think that is like plus 333.
360.
Or 360. Okay. So yeah, if you don't want to include J-Day and you just want Hovland, who again we've discussed multiple times is not fit for this course, plus 360 is also a pretty good number, just as a straight wild card pick there. For my wild card pick, I'm playing it kind of safe. I like the play, but I'm happy it's not a bet. I'm doing Tiger Woods made cut at plus 200. I feel very nice knowing it is just a wild card. Again,
and you can cheer for him.
And I can cheer for him because if he makes the cut, then cool, I want a wild card. And if he misses the cut, then all I did was bet him as a wild card, and I'm okay with that as an outcome.
If he makes the cut, oh baby.
Yeah, Jack is going to be salivating in front of his TV on Saturday.
Everybody should, regardless of if you make. I will happily lose money. Well, not this because I'm making the cut too, but like, I just want to feel that one more time. Everybody in the world does.
All right. Well, do you have Tiger Woods as your winner's pick this week?
Spiritually, yes.
Okay, got it. What about physically?
Physically, no.
Okay.
I have 3 guys. And again, let me preface, if you're staying tuned and you're listening for the first time, we don't just pick 5 guys and say, Scotty, Xander, Justin, we're not doing that. We pick PGA Tour fantasy styles where we really can't use the same guys. I do it twice, like PGA Tour. Liam does it once. So if you're not going to get Scotty because I picked him last week. But my pre-year prediction on our pre-year show, I had Patrick Cantlay when he was playing well. I would not recommend putting a single dollar on that,
Yeah.
but I wanted to make sure that was included.
Yep.
The two guys I did, one is Colin Morikawa. I think he's returning to major form over the last couple weeks. I think if the short game and the irons hold how he was doing it, I think he has a chance to finish really high up this week, and I love it. My second guy, I'm a little less confident on, but I think you can sprinkle it, is Dustin Johnson. Statistically, you're not going to fire 65, but he's also not going to fire an 80. If he can do what he needs to do and he kind of puts Masters out of his mind, he loves U.S. Opens. This is a really good guy, crazy odds. I think this is a guy that you can take advantage of.
Yeah. Again, I don't know about DJ. I love Colin. I wish I could get to him if I didn't already pick him. For my winners picks, my pre-year pick was Ricky Fowler. Same way as Cantlay, you're probably not putting any money on him, and I wouldn't. He just finished dead last week, so he's definitely not coming in with the form of a lifetime by any means. But my winners picks for this week, I dug deep a little bit. These are kind of sneaky plays. Sungjae Im and Dean Burmeister are my two picks this week. So I'm a fan of both of them. They're both playing really good golf right now. They've both got top 10s on PGA Tour events. And Burmeister, I think, was T12. But besides the point, they're both on really good form in high-level PGA style tournaments. So
I don't need it.
All right, there we go. Again, this was Turn Dollars Golf for the U.S. Open. Next week, we do have the Travelers Championship. Unit size appropriately, depending on how you want to bet for the week. I know this is one of the bigger betting weeks of the year. So go out there, have some fun, win some money. And if you do, come back next week and let's see if we can win money all over again.
We make money here.
Deuces.
Deuces, guys.